Right now on Robin Hood Radio, we're going to welcome in once again a good friend of ours, and that is the administrator at Noble Horizons, William Pond. Bill, good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Well, I take my cap off to people, and I've been doing this ever since the pandemic hit, who are administrators in our school systems, our hospitals, our healthcare systems, the ambulance squads, the fire departments. Everybody has been dealing with COVID-19 now for basically one way or another since January. And we are in a different phase of it now, and I like to point out, as Bill Herco from Sharon Hospital said, before we were having COVID come into our communities, we were trying to keep it out. And now COVID is in the community, and it's growing from within. And that is a different set of headaches for people that are charged in running these amazing organizations, and one of those is Noble Horizons. Bill, I mean, it is a change of circumstances where we now know we have COVID in the community, and it makes your job even more difficult, quite believe it or not, than it has been leading up to this point.
I'll tell you what, it's such a long process. We're starting to lose track of the phases. It's been going on, as you said, for such a long period of time, and that's part of the challenge is because it's gone on for such an extended period. The concern about becoming complacent and somewhat lackadaisical in terms of the approaches that we've installed. That's really now the big focus, trying to get people to just continue to focus on what we need to do for a little bit longer anyway.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is it's been proven. You can look at the stats in New York and other areas that have had major outbreaks. The thing that worked is social distancing and masks, and the same thing for here. But like when you run a center like yours, a center that is it's a full care facility. It goes from housing to, so people can live independently, to hotel-like setting where people live semi-independently, to really complete care and memory care. I mean, so on top of all that, you not only protect your staff and families that have to visit, but you have to protect so many different layers of your population at Noble Horizons. I mean, it really has to be a daunting job.
It's it potentially it presents a lot of challenges, and Marshall, we're blessed with a unique situation here in terms of the staff and how they're responding to the overall crisis in general. Drilling down on the specific as it pertains to the people that live in the cottages, as it pertains to the people that live in the nursing home setting and other areas as well. It's really, we're very fortunate to have a very comprehensive approach with the staff really buying into the overall program and sharing a common goal. We're very fortunate to say this morning that we continue on the entire campus to be COVID-free. But to your earlier point, it is all around us. So the community has been affected by this. So it becomes a new challenge. Now we wear the gloves and the PPE and all of the in-servicing and all of the infection control issues. Now it becomes a kind of a focus on how to carry yourselves in the community, family gatherings, interactions with your own children, with friends, people that are involved in different social activities. The thing that's been consistent through this entire ordeal boils down to what I believe is one strong focal point, and that is personal responsibility. Every individual that's responsible for themselves ultimately becomes responsible for a larger group of people if they're all practicing the same thing. And at this point in time, that's really what we're trying to stress, just the personal responsibility of this whole thing.
Well, and what makes it even harder is when you have a setting like yours that has different levels of independent and actually watched over living, you still, on top of all this, and we all realize, as people that operate on a normal daily basis, I have family. I have a sister that just died. There was no way we could get down to see her. We knew that this was coming. There was no way to have a funeral right now. Then you've got Thanksgiving, and you've got the holidays coming up, and families are really going to have to toe the line and be very, very careful. And that's where I look at Noble Horizons and what you must do there, because you've got people that are living at your facility that are separated from their family one way or another, and you're coming into the holiday time of the season, and this is normally a time where the blues and depression can hit in. You have obviously done a great job with your staff to the residents to keep their spirits up and to keep them optimistic.
You're right. That's a whole other side effect of this whole ugly mess, and coming upon the holidays presents its own challenges in a typical year, certainly, and we're sensitive to that. We maintain our visitation practices. We are allowing indoor visitation. We continue on a daily basis the remote and the virtual visitation as well, and to some extent we still have some outside visitation, weather permitting. And we're kind of curious to see as to how long that will last itself. We're a bit concerned that as the state, the numbers begin to climb, one wonders as to what interventions will be made on a state level and how that will trickle down and affect us. But to continue the activities, to continue to whatever extent we can, the interactions with families is such an important part of the overall part of care and rehabilitation, and just can't be ignored.
And I think one of the things that Noble Horizons created in this area, it's now a model that it's used at most centers like your senior centers, is the fact that what Noble Horizons set up and really was a pioneer in doing was bringing the community that Noble Horizons is located in and having them really be part of the everyday of Noble Horizons, so the people who are at Noble Horizons don't feel like they're out of the community. I think that's one of the things that Noble Horizons pioneered so well, is that hey, we're part of the community. The community's welcome to come in here, and even if you don't have anybody here, and interact of all ages with your residents. I mean, that's just, I think, to me, been one of the mainstays for Noble Horizons since day one.
It's really what's made it, in large part, a unique operation, where the community has been a huge part of our overall success. And with the restrictions that exist right now, we're not able to invite the community in. It's a huge void, and I give a lot of credit to those who participate in doing what they can to bridge that gap, if you will. Certainly, it's not the typical where whether we're having outdoor concerts or we're having the Festival of Trees, which has always been a huge function here in the holiday season. It's just not something that we're able to put together this year for obvious reasons. So that has been something that's probably been one of the more difficult things to replace.
As I look at you where we sit now, I mean, we look at the daily numbers. Salisbury has about 30 cases of COVID, Sharon 17, North Canaan up to almost, I think it's 46 or 47. We see all these numbers. Columbia County having a drastic rise once again in COVID numbers, and you must sit there as an administrator at the start of each day and just look at this, and just really say, when is this all going to peak? When is this all going to end?
It was, I guess, in earnest towards the end of February, early March. The viewpoint was, well, we need to get through the next 2 or 3 months. And the next 2 or 3 months came and went, and all of a sudden we're looking at spring, summer, fall, and we're looking at the winter now, and one does wonder. It can be challenging to keep the morale, in the facility, on campus, going in the right direction. There's a lot of pep talks, if you will, a lot of gatherings internally in terms of meetings. We hold our meetings outside or in a large dining room area to respect the guidelines. But it's all a matter of just trying to get people through the next step. And I don't, I believe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's still somewhat very dim, I think, at this point. Until there's a vaccine, Marshall, this is something that's probably going to continue to trudge forward for another few months.
It's amazing to look at, and additionally, you offer services to the community on top of that, like your incredible. And I always say this because I participated in it. You're bringing somebody back from surgery. Your physical therapy is is a very important link that you have to our community.
It really is. We still are able to maintain our outpatient therapy. It's something that we're looking at, like anything else. We're looking at what limited programs we currently have in place. We have to look at that every day. We have a meeting this morning at 10 o'clock to see if there's any way we can try to be more detailed in our screening process. We hate to have to rely on cutting services that we've had an opportunity to bring back over the summer. And as we move forward further down the line, one has to take into consideration, well, you know what, maybe this isn't something that makes sense to continue just because the numbers are getting a little bit too scary. So all of those types of things are looked at and reevaluated on a daily basis.
Well, for more information about Noble Horizons, of course, noblehorizons.org, noblehorizons.org. Bill, just keep up the great work. I know it's tireless, and it's sometimes, I think, for your staff as well, not only the residents, but your staff and the administration to fight the fight that you're fighting. And congratulations so far on your record, and keep up the good work.
Marshall, I appreciate the time. Thanks very much, and I appreciate the support of the community.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Once again, the administrator at Noble Horizons, William Pond, here on Robin Hood Radio.